Yo, they really tried to fire me. Like, they were really playing it. They were really trying it. Like, if I'm right and I know I'm right, I'm going to use every resource I can get my hands on to prove that I'm right. Hey guys, Aisha here, and I'm back with another video. And today, I'm going to tell a personal story of mine, which I don't normally do, but there's a point to it because it's a cautionary tale. So, yeah, there's a lesson in it. So, that's what I'm going to do today. Then I'm going to do some makeup. So, let's get right into it. And today, I got a few new things I wanted to try out. Namely, this e.l.f. Camo CC cream. And it's in the shade Deep, which was the darkest shade. I figured it'd be a nice light coverage foundation to give it a go. So yeah, I'm going to do that today and tell you my tale. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Alright, I already did the face stuff and the primer and whatnot. Go ahead and try this cream. Okay, so this story, not a story, it's a true event that happened many years ago, back when Ari was a baby. Yeah, this happened like right after she was born. So when we had Ari, I was working at a different job, completely different career. I was still working as a baker, pastry chef, and I did that for a long time. And when we had Ari, I was actually working at this company that was a... Hold up. I went ahead and mixed it without even thinking. So I'm going to try it first before even mixing it. I mixed it because I had a feeling it wasn't going to be my undertone. But this is it on my skin without mixing it. And it doesn't look bad, actually. Like, do they automatically just adjust to your face? Is that what it's supposed to do? Or is that just a coincidence? Anyway. Okay, it doesn't look bad. Okay, so this is a CC cream by itself without mixing it or anything. And I did 2 pumps and I got like half of my face. So anyway, yeah, I worked at a retirement village sort of deal. There are a ton in the South. There are a ton in the Deep South. Like a ton of retirement homes, villages. It was like a retirement home, rehab, like a physical rehab place for elderly people, and what else was it? It was like a healthcare center, I guess, for them, but they lived there, if that makes sense. I don't remember the official name of the, like the official title of the place, but that's what it was. But anyway, I worked there for a while. I was there for like 2 years, over 2 years, as a bakery pastry chef there. Yeah. So I was there for 2 years as a bakery pastry chef. Like with most places like that, there was a lot of turnover. So, and one of the people who actually ended up leaving us was our HR person, who was a really nice lady. Well, she was nice. She was not nice. She was funny. I liked her. She was funny, but she was not nice. But she was a good lady. I liked her. She ended up leaving, and someone else came in and replaced her. Another lady. This lady actually came in. The replacement actually came in. Now she wants to vacuum? Really? That's not bad. I'm surprised. I was fully ready for that to not match me. And it's not bad. I don't think it's gonna, like, last throughout the summer. Just because my skin is super oily. But if you have normal skin, and you're not a grease ball like me, then it should be fine. Okay, I think she's done vacuuming. So anyway, yeah, when this new HR person started, I guess I'll give her a name. Kathy. When Kathy started, I honestly don't remember her name, so I hope that's not actually her name. I don't think so though. But when this new HR lady started, Kathy, I was already pregnant. I was about 6 months pregnant or so. And she like went around and talked to everybody, introduced herself, etc. When she first started, and let us know that she was a new HR person. But she didn't really like talk to me personally about like my condition at the time, like being pregnant or anything. Like she didn't tell me, oh, there's paperwork that you need to fill out or anything like that. She never did that. So yeah. Anyway, and I didn't know, because why would I know? So going back to my last video, not my last video, but my racism in the medical field video, you probably should check that out. Going back to my story there, when I gave birth, I was almost exactly a month early. I was like 3 weeks early. And she like called me while I was in the hospital, or yeah, she called me while I was in the hospital and told me like I had some paperwork I need to fill out because due to me being pregnant, and it was about my medical, like being on leave or whatever. And I was like, and she was like, yeah, next time you need to fill this out early. I'm like, why did you never mention this? How would I know? No one ever mentioned throughout the entire time I was pregnant. No one came to me and was like, oh, there's this paperwork you need to fill out for this. So anyway, she called me while I was in the hospital and had somebody bring over the paperwork to me to fill out, and I had them sent, and I signed it and sent it back. Whatever. That was a whole other thing. Like, she just was not she was just not good at her job at all. At all. So, going into what happened. So, after going back to my medical field video, sorry. No, it's like a lot. But going back to that video, my story in that video, after I gave birth, I mentioned like before, like there were issues with the hospital and issues with my job. Well, this is the story about the issues with my job. So after I gave birth, yeah, they tried to make me come back after 2 weeks of giving birth. That was what they were trying to give me. That was my time off they were trying to give me. So that was a huge problem for me. So I'm like, I'm not going back to work after giving birth. A newborn at 2 weeks, I'm supposed to give this to somebody else while I'm at work for what? To make bread? What? So yeah, that's what my manager tried to tell me, and the HR lady as well. They both were trying to tell me. And my manager at the time, he was this awful, awful, awful old man, and he was fairly new as well. He hadn't been there a year yet, I don't think. He ended up getting fired anyway. So, but yeah, he hadn't been there long either. So yeah, like I said, a lot of turnover, especially in the management positions. Like you would expect it at the lower levels, but at the management positions, there was a lot of turnover as well. Because this company was trash. A lot of issues. Not even gonna lie. So many issues with that place. So many scandals. Like the news came out because of some of the scandals with that place. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, they tried to make me come back after 2 weeks of giving birth. And I forget what the exact law was, or exact law is, but there is a law saying that you have a minimum of 6 weeks, and it was actually in the packet the HR lady gave me. Like, she gave me this packet explaining my rights in regards to being pregnant and giving birth and stuff, and what happens afterwards, and what the company's rules were. And this wasn't just a company rule. This was like a state rule. I think it was like maybe like a national rule. Or law, sorry. but it was explicitly written in this packet in black and white that she had given me when I had to sign all the papers that she had someone bring to my hospital bed. Isn't that something? So anyway, yeah, it said like I could take a minimum of 6 weeks off if I wanted. And then also like, it was like 6 weeks to 3 months or something if I wanted. And then also, it also talks about like my vacation time, my PTO, all that stuff. I could take that as well. So I was thoroughly confused when they were trying to force me to come back to work after 2 weeks. So this started a whole thing. Like, imagine just giving birth and your job is calling you and sending you threatening letters to your house saying you're going to be fired if you don't come back to work. Because that's exactly what happened. They were sending me threatening letters almost every day. I had like several of those letters saying you will be fired if you don't come back to work on this specific day. You will be terminated. Something along the lines of, it'll be as if you've forfeited your right to work here, and you'll be terminated, basically. So I'm contacting this HR person, and she's telling me like, yeah, you have to come back after 2 weeks. I'm like, I've never heard that before in my life. Somebody going back to work after 2 weeks of giving birth. Even 6 weeks is crazy to me, honestly. But, you know, this is America. And it doesn't give a damn about its people, let's be honest. It doesn't care. It's a corporation. That's what it is. It's a corporation that has people living in it. That's it. That make it run. That's it. It doesn't care about its people. So anyway, yeah. She was like, yeah, you're going to be terminated. You have to come back within 2 weeks of giving. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. And also, I was reading to her from the packet. I'm like, in the packet, it says I can take a minimum of 6 weeks to 3 months if I want. So what are you talking about 2 weeks? Like, where do you see that? And then also I read in the packet as well, it also said not even just giving birth. Like, people who adopt can also take time off, 6 weeks off, to bond with their new children. Which I say we because my mother-in-law was also reading this with me. Like, she was also going through this with me. Like, she was ready to hire me a lawyer and everything for this because it was ridiculous. And everyone saw it was in black and white. The only person who couldn't seem to comprehend it was the HR woman, Kathy. So, yeah. Shortly after me giving birth, they like started sending me letters. So I started researching, even though it was already in black and white. I was looking up more information, more proof about this law. And of course, me being me, I found everything I needed to find. And I also found a bunch of numbers to call. I called a bunch of people. I called some lawyers. I actually ended up calling a freaking union that I was not a part of. Because my job didn't have a union. You need a union. You should get unions. Yeah, my job didn't have a union. So on top of everything going on with the hospital and all that, almost dying there, then coming home and dealing with the newborn pretty much by myself because my husband was working. He was my fiance at the time, but he was working 2 jobs. I was dealing with this. I was dealing with my job threatening me and sending me letters and calling me saying I would be terminated. Right after giving birth. Like, right after giving birth. I'm like, oh, nice. Nice. It's such a great company to work for. Oh my god. After all the threats and stuff and looking into lawyers, calling lawyers, speaking to lawyers, and actually calling a union rep. I guess, what do they call it? Union presidents? I called a union president by accident. There was just a number. Like, I was researching, as I do, And I saw like a post about like my exact situation. Like if your job is threatening you, telling you have to come back before 6 weeks, that you have to come work and blah blah blah. They're threatening to fire you. That's against the law. And it was also like certain specifications. Like there were certain specific qualifications a company had to have in order to have to follow this law. Like I think they had to have like 500, at least 500 employees employed like within their company. And then it didn't have to be just like the one business. It could be like several businesses in the one city or one area or whatever. And this certain place that I worked for, they owned several other retirement centers by different names in the same area. I think they all had to be like in the same state or something. And these were like all on the same street. So yeah, I was like, yeah, they have way more than 500 employees. So I'm like, they fit the bill to have to follow this law. Like there's no question about it. It's a huge company actually. It's just terrible. It's terrible. It's not good at all. And I really felt bad for the residents that lived there because they were just treated awful by this place. Like seriously. That was one of the reasons why I stayed there so long, given that it was such a bad place to work for, was just because I really liked the residents. They were super sweet, very nice. But it's just like after a while, like working there and seeing like so many people die, it was too much. And also the company was terrible, like I said many times. But yeah. And also when I talked to the union rep, so this is what happened with the union rep. I accidentally called this number. I didn't know it was a union that I was calling. It just like the post said, if you're going through this, call this number. So I did. And then like I read on a little further and I was like, oh, I'm not part of this union. So I hung up. And then they called me back almost immediately. They were like, yeah, somebody called this number. I was like, oh yeah, sorry. I just saw your number online and I'm going through this issue. And they're like, the guy actually talked to me for a bit. And he was like, yeah, it's the law. They have to follow this. He was like, this is what you do. You tell them this is the law. They have 500 plus employees. They have to follow it. And if you run into any issues, it was like, give me a call back. And I was like, oh, okay. Thanks. I was like, I was really appreciative. Like, why is this guy helping me? I'm not even a part of his union. But yeah, I don't even remember what company that was for because it was a union for a different company entirely. But yeah, he like seriously wanted to help me. He was like, if you run into any other issues, like call me, let me know, we can help you. I was like, oh, cool, thank you. But yeah, so I was like, all right. I was like writing down all these notes and stuff, everything he said. And it was weird too because I called that number, that union. I called it. It was super early in the morning, like the sun wasn't even up. Because I remember specifically because I was in my living room, and I was like pacing back and forth, and I was like looking out the window, and we had like a big like shop window almost in our living room, and I was just like staring out the window, and calling numbers and stuff. It was like I was surprised anybody answered because it was so early in the morning. So anyway, I believe I don't know if it was that week or next week, but anyway, at some point throughout all this, my mother-in-law and I had to go up to my job to talk to this lady. It may have been after the first freaking letter was sent out saying I was going to be fired for abandoning my job, essentially. But we went up and we talked to her, and I was super annoyed because I did not want to take my baby up there. Because it's a retirement home full of a lot of sick people and elderly people, and I didn't want my baby to get sick because she hadn't had all of her vaccinations yet, which was one of my main issues. Like obviously I wanted to bond with my kid. I just gave birth to her, and also I wanted her to get her vaccinations before being around a bunch of other people. So we ended up having to take her up there. And I was not happy about that at all. I wasn't happy about the whole situation at all, to be honest. But we had to take her up there. So we ended up taking her with us. And we went and talked to this lady, this insane lady, Kathy, Kathy the HR lady. She's just like repeating herself over and over again. Like, yeah, you only get 2 weeks, you have to come back, or you're going to be abandoning your job, and essentially you'll be fired. And I was like, that doesn't even make any sense, because written right here in black and white, it says that I can have 6 weeks to 3 months if I want. And she was like, no, no. I'm like, how? Like, how? How do I not get, how is it that I don't qualify to get 6 weeks to 3 months? How? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Because I don't take vacations. I don't really take days off. So how do I not qualify? I don't even understand. And even then, I was still qualified. I just wouldn't get paid for it. And she was like, no, she just kept repeating herself. She didn't have any valid answers. She couldn't answer why I couldn't get this time off. She just kept repeating herself, saying that I would be abandoning my job. And then my mother-in-law got super mad too, because she also didn't want to bring my daughter in there, because she's a nurse and she knows, like, places like that, they carry diseases and stuff. Like I think at one point there was like a tuberculosis scare. Not even a scare, because it was true. Like, there was a tuberculosis like outbreak there in that same building. Like, they had several buildings, and that was the main building I worked in, which was the like nursing building. Like, I don't, what would you call it? It was where they did like rehab for the patients, like physical therapy and everything. But it was essentially where the sick patients were, which was the main building. So yeah, they had like several scares, not even scares, like several outbreaks like that. Tuberculosis and other sort of diseases that broke out there. So yeah, we were both very valid in our fears and anger in the fact that we had to bring my newborn baby into this place. Also, there were like patients constantly trying to like escape. And I don't blame them, because that place was awful. Like, I would go in the morning and I had to be there like 5 or 6 a.m. and I would see patients like between the double doors trying to get out. Like, there was like a little corridor, like from the outside door and the inside door. And I would see patients in their wheelchairs trying to get out of the front door, the outside door, like from that area. It was ridiculous. And like, nobody was watching them. And I was like, where is the staff? Like, you should not be here. And I felt bad because I really wanted to help them. But I was like, yo, I can't help you escape, because then I would be probably arrested. But yeah. Just to give you kind of an idea of this place. And they had money, so it's not like they didn't have money to pay staff. Like, they were severely understaffed or anything. Like, they had money to pay staff. They just didn't. Like, they were understaffed because they did that. They didn't want to pay anybody to work there. And the people who did work there were not paid enough. But yeah, there'd be like 1 or 2 people on a shift for like 20, 30 patients. It was crazy. And they would have to like go in between buildings as well. So it wasn't just like they had to focus on the one building. They had several other buildings they had to go to. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, going in and talking to that lady was a waste of time. And even my mother-in-law pointed out the fact. She was like, it says even people who adopt can get this time off. So why can't we get this time off? That's what the HR lady was trying to say. She was trying to say that unless there were complications and I was really sick or hurt or something, it had to be hospitalized and stayed in a hospital, then I couldn't get time off. And my mother-in-law pointed out the fact that it said that even people who are adopting were eligible to get this time off, were required or to get this time off. And the lady was trying to be combative, was like, no, only if you're sick and all this. And Her mother was like, no, it says and. Also, just like, it says and, like, do you not know the meaning of and she got so mad, like, she was yelling at Slade. She's like, do you not know the meaning of and? Oh no, she said or. It's like, do you not know the meaning of or? And the lady kept just trying to go back with her, like, no, it said, and like, no, it says or. It's like, if you are sick or adopting or this or that. And it's just like, do you not know the meaning of or? But apparently the lady didn't know her job at all, because, like, I didn't know, but during my research, I found that you actually have, there's actually people who major in HR. Like, that's actually a major in college. And I'm pretty sure, like, to get any HR job, you have to have at least a bachelor's degree. I'm not sure if it has to be in HR. I would assume so. But yeah, even the school I went to, they had HR as a major, which I thought was kind of strange because I didn't think that, like, I mean, it makes sense because it is kind of a serious job. You're dealing with a lot of sensitive information on employees, like very sensitive, and including payroll as well. So I would want you to go to college for that. But anyway, so we left there without any real resolution. And my mother-in-law was like, yeah, let's just get this lawyer and get this going because this is ridiculous. So we're like, all right. Because at first, because if you're going back to my other video where I said I wanted to sue that doctor and I was talked out of it by my family, I was not backing down about this one. It was ridiculous, first of all. I know how to read and comprehend. Apparently, Kathy, the HR person, did not know how to read and comprehend. And the other reason why my mother-in-law pointed out the adoption thing was because Kathy had a wife. Yeah, she had her pictures all over her desk. She had a wedding band on. And that's what my mother-in-law kept pointing out. She was like, why don't you understand that? Like, even people in gay and lesbian relationships who adopt, or people who just adopt in general, can get this time off as well. So what are you talking about? So that was a stupid thing as well. So we went back to my house. She had to go do whatever, set up stuff for the lawyer. I didn't end up talking to the lawyer. My mother-in-law paid for me to, like, get a consultation with the lawyer, and the lawyer was like, yeah, this is just like a clear win, like, let's go ahead and do this. And then as we were getting ready to take this to court, I suddenly get a letter from my job, like, I think the next day was going to be the 2-week mark where I was going to be, like, fired for not returning to work. They send a letter to my house saying, oh, please disregard all our other letters saying we were going to fire you and threatening you. Yeah, just forget about that. You can return to work when you feel comfortable. So I don't know, like, who talked to who. Like, I don't know if she decided to go to her boss or whatever, or somebody from high up heard what was going on. Because I believe she was the only person we talked to at that company. Like, I didn't even bother going to anybody else because I was just like, I don't have time for this. Like, let's just sue and be done with this. Like, I don't have time for this. Like, I have so many other things I need to do. And, like, also this job sucks ass, but let's just sue anyway so we can move on with our lives because this is stupid. Like, we know how to read. And I'm sick of doing all this work and all this research to prove that I'm right because I know I'm right. Like, it's in black and white, bro. And I don't know if they knew they were wrong from the start and they were just trying to bully me into coming back to work. Like, do they do this to other people? And they told, because one of my coworkers before said something like that. Like, oh yeah, they only give you like 2 weeks off. And I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, most people aren't even healed within 2 weeks. Like, what are you talking about, 2 weeks off? So yeah, that was ridiculous. It was like, I don't know if, like, she seriously believed that I was only entitled to 2 weeks off, or if she they were just trying to bully me and thought I was stupid enough to believe them and come back to work, because that didn't make any sense at all. And I believe, like, when you have a C-section or something, you have to have like 9 weeks off. And I didn't have a C-section, but still, I think I was one of her statements. He was like, oh, if you had a C-section or something, then you would get this time off. I was like, no, that's not what this paper says. This paper says or. It's important to stick up for yourselves, folks, and to read. I was paid my vacation time and all my PTO and everything. And I went back to work, and then I think I stayed there for a few more months, and I found another job. That place was awful. And then shortly after I left that job, I found out that my manager, he got fired, which was nice. My manager and my supervisor got fired, which was nice because they were both awful. They were very awful, awful men. Awful old men. Like, while I was pregnant, they tried to make me lift 50 pounds of product while I was pregnant. And then they told me that being pregnant is not a disability. And I'm like, I wasn't able to lift 50 pounds before I was pregnant. I think the requirement for the job was to be able to lift 25 pounds. But yeah, I learned too, like, places like that are like a breeding ground. Like, they're just full of bad people. Like, you would think like people who work there really want to help elderly people and sick people, and it's like, nah, they're just there. It was awful. The whole place was just like toxic as hell. Like, they love drama, they love scandal, and I gave it to them, baby. I gave it to them. I gave them what they wanted. But I really wanted to take that to court. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wanted to take it to court. I was like, you know what? All that aggression I had towards the doctor and the hospital and stuff, I'm going to take it out on you now. Because now I'm going to sue you. And I'm going to sue you for everything. For everything the doctor put me through, the hospital put me through. I'm going to take it out on you guys. That's honestly how I felt. Because I was like, oh, this is my second chance to sue. Because I didn't do it before. But yeah, it's really important. Like, for real, guys, like, especially in situations like that, read over everything. And I'm lucky that I read over everything and I read it thoroughly. Because, I mean, honestly, I don't know, I was nervous about, I was anxious about everything anyway, so I was reading over everything thoroughly. Especially after what happened at the doctor. And like I said, refer back to that racism in the medical field, and the video, the story time is at the end of that video about my experience. But yeah, after everything that happened there, I made sure to read over everything, know my rights, know what the hell is going on. Because they will, like, even if they kill you or hurt you, bro, like, they will try to find a way to say it was your fault and not their fault. So read over everything, voice everything. Make it known. Make sure you have witnesses. You're like, yeah, I said this. I told you this. And you ignored me. Because that will save you in the end. And that will prove them to be the liars. Because I'm telling you, man, they will try to make you look bad. I don't understand how that lady still had a job after all that, like, the HR lady, because, like, wouldn't that prove that she didn't know what the hell she was doing at her job? Because that's, like, a basic part of her job, like, knowing these laws and stuff. Also, it was in black and white. So wouldn't that at least prove that she can't read and comprehend? And that's concerning, being that she dealt with payroll and other sensitive issues like sexual harassment and stuff like that. So, but they kept her on. Even after I was gone, she was still there from what I heard. So, that was the place I worked for, bro. That was one of the places I worked for. So yeah, after all that, and I did end up going back to work, after I felt comfortable and Ari had her shots and everything, and I was comfortable enough to go back to work, then came the issue of me pumping, because I breastfed Ari, so I would also pump milk for when I was away from her. And there was also a clause in there stating that, you know, if a woman is pumping, the job has to provide a clean area for her to do so, with a lock on it. It has to be a room with a lock on it. It cannot, and it said it cannot be a bathroom. So after I went back to work, HR lady had me come to her office. I think I had to fill out some more paperwork or whatever. And then I notified her that I was pumping breast milk. And it was funny too, because it's funny too, because she didn't even like try to assume or tell me anything about it. She just asked me. She was like, okay, so what do we need to do for you? She's like, because I don't really know much about it. She's like, I'm not really familiar with this. And I was like, oh shit, you're scared now. Like, what happened to you? Did somebody say something to you? But yeah, it was very obvious that something happened. Like, somebody said something. I don't know if they like threatened her job, but it was clear that something happened. So yeah, she asked me, she's like, what do we need to do for you? What do we need to provide for you? And she was like, I'm not even going to try to assume that I know, because I don't know. And I was like, well, I just need a clean room with a lock on it. That's it. And it cannot be a bathroom. That's it. And I was able to do this during my breaks. I would get like a half hour for lunch, and then I would get like a 15-20 minute break throughout the day, because I work 9 hour shifts. So they actually gave me one of the rooms upstairs. Like I said, it was like a what is retirement home sort of deal. So they had like apartments upstairs, and they gave me the key to one of the apartments they were like fixing up, or what were they doing? They were like renovating an apartment. So they gave me the key to one of those upstairs, and that's where I would go during my breaks and my lunch and like pump milk. And also, nobody told me this, but I'm telling people now. Breast feeding and pumping, it makes you really sleepy. Apparently there's a chemical release when you do this that makes you sleepy. So just a heads up, because nobody told me and I found out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the story. The moral of the story is read your documents thoroughly, know your rights, and don't back down. And sue if you have to. Don't let these people intimidate you. Yeah, and even after I went back to work, like, obviously the managers and stuff were like super salty. And like had an attitude with me and stuff. And I was like, please mistreat me so I can sue this trying to sue this place. Like, please mistreat me so I can sue you. But they didn't. They really didn't do much. They just had an attitude. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, this place was, they had money. They just didn't want to spend it on their residents or their employees. So the place was terrible. But it could have been so much better. And I hope it's a lot better now, because they are still up and operational. And I hope the residents are actually being taken care of now. But I don't know. But yeah, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you would like. And go check out that racism in the medical field video so you can hear the other part of this story. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If I'm right, and I know I'm right, I'm going to use every resource I can get my hands on to prove that I'm right. That's probably a toxic trait. I don't know. But that's what it is. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to just let you believe that you're right. That's not going to happen. Unless it's something small. But this was big. This was big. And I was right. And I had to prove that. And I proved that. So, I don't know. I try not to do that with small things. I've been letting small things go. But things like this, no. That was not going to happen. No. No way. No way in hell. There's no way in hell I was gonna let that go.